Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Batman from Justice League Endless Winter. This guy's part of the collective build of Frost King. Get all 4 figures, and you can complete the Frost King. I got my figure at Walmart. They had a whole pallet full of all the newest McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. So let's go and check out the packaging. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts, McFarlane toys, ages 12 plus, DC Multiverse Batman, Collector Build Frost King. This is the second of 4 figures. Here he is in the package. Looks like he comes with a Batarang or Bat Bomb, 2 arms for Frost King sword, also a display stand and collector's card. One side of the package, Batman from Justice League Endless Winter. Other side simply says Batman. At the bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode, in case that helps anybody. On the back side, here's the Frost King. Here are instructions to build the Frost King. Here are the pieces you get with this Batman. And here is the rest of the wave. So without further ado, let's open him up. And I did end up getting 2 of these figures, one of which to open and enjoy, the other one to keep unopened in my complete 6 and 7 inch Batman-related unopened action figure collection. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He does come with a display stand, a collector's card, what appears to be a Bat Bomb, some kind of Batarang, and then the 2 arms and sword of the Frost King. But before we take a look at the accessories, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Batman from Justice League Endless Winter. It's essentially a cold weather Batman. He's got his winter gear on, big coat, goggles, etc. So let's take a look at him. Start with his head here, completely covered. His mouth is not exposed like it normally is. He's got these goggles on there. Skin is completely protected from the harsh cold weather. He's got this big coat, kind of furry. See the bat symbol there, an armored suit underneath. His gauntlets on the outside, shoulder pads. You can see nice texturing on the coat, different from the fur, from the actual coat. Then his utility belt on the outside. It looks like he has all the articulation of a typical McFarlane figure, ball joint torso, ball joint waist, but you're probably not going to get a lot of use out of those. Double jointed elbows, double jointed knees, knee pads, armored shin. Overall he looks good, but it feels like his mobility is going to be very restricted. It's kind of a cool Batman variant. It sure beats the Arctic Splash Batman or anti-cold Batman they used to make back in the day. Just a crazy white repainted Batman. This one appears to actually make sense and be functioning cold winter gear. Just a closer look at his face or head sculpt. I like that his skin is completely covered. Makes perfect sense for the scenario he'd be in. Now let's take a look at his accessories, and let's start off with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand. Typical McFarlane stand, black perfect circle, says DC at the bottom. It's got 1 peg for the pegals on his feet, very thin, very basic. Now let's look at his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of Batman in his cold gear. Batman from Justice League Endless Winter. Backside, there is a description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Now let's look at the Frost King parts. We've got both the arms and his sword. Arms look pretty cool. Shoulder pads with ice on them. A little bit of fur. Single jointed elbow. Blue skin. 1 gripping hand. Other arm has a fisted hand. Then he's got the sword. Semi-transparent plastic. Green. Looks good. Very large. When the Frost King is fully assembled, he will look like this. He's a big boy. And just so you have an idea of the scale difference between Frost King and Batman, he's a giant, oversized deluxe figure. Now let's look at his accessory. It's a large Batarang shaped thing. I think it's a Bat Bomb. Kind of gives me vibes as maybe a device you could attach to something frozen, heat it up. Kind of like the items he used in the film Batman and Robin. Looks like a Batarang. I think it's a bomb in the center. Same thing on the other side. I like it. Great addition to the Bat Armory. Here's Batman holding this accessory. Looks like he's about to throw it. He could also simply be placing this thing. He can also sort of stow it away inside of his jacket and belt. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing at about 7.1 inches tall, which is going to translate to about 18 centimeters. Now let's look at his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. He can look up about that far, down about that far. Can tilt his head from one side to the other, giving him a good amount of personality. Shoulders on a ball joint goes out more than 90 degrees, up, down, around, all that good stuff. Shoulder pads are soft. They completely move out of the way. Looks like he has a butterfly joint to his shoulder and chest area, just increasing range of motion and covering that gap. He's got a bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows, they go all the way in. His wrist, rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. Ball joint in his torso, but you're really not going to get much out of that. I mean, I can see that it functions, but the jacket is really going to restrict most of that. The one on his waist, you can get something out of that at least. The rotation, not so much a forward and back. I mean, it works, but the jacket's going to prevent it. Pretty much useless. You can get some out of the torso, waist at least. Legs, complete does the splits. Not a ball joint, but a similar type concept. Rotation, pretty minimal. Legs barely go forward at all. Back, not much either. Double jointed knees, go back about this far, obstructed by the thickness of his leg. Then his ankle, forward and back, tilt rock, rotate, and toe articulation. Here's Batman placing his Batmom onto some ice. Here's Wonder Woman taking on the Frost King, having a sword fight. Here's the members of the Justice League from the Endless Winter Wave taking on the Frost King. And just a closer look, Batman with his Batarang, Wonder Woman with their sword, and John Stewart using his power ring, trying to take down the Frost King. Batman sneaks up from behind and puts his Batman heat bomb on the back of the Frost King. Now let's check him out, next to some other action figures, starting off with some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here's Batman next to the rest of the Justice League Endless Winter collector build of Frost King wave. Here are all the basic figures. Buy all 4 of them, and you essentially get Frost King for free. Breaks it down to where the figures are $20 each. One of them is large, oversized, so it's a pretty fair value if you don't mind getting John Stewart for a second time if you already had him. Here's Batman next to Aquaman. He's also from Justice League Endless Winter. Now let's check him out next to some other Batman figures. Here he is with several other Batman figures in sort of non-traditional looks, all based off the comics. Then, next to some more Batman figures, these are some older McFarlane figures, also based off the comics. And here, next to some more recently released McFarlane Batman figures based off the comics. And now, next to some more Batman figures, these are based off different various forms of media. Now let's check them out, next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the 2 newest Mega figures, Killer Croc and Man-Bat. Then, next to the Batman Who Laughs, dressed as Batman, and the Entertainment Earth exclusive glow-in-the-dark Batman Beyond. And here he is, next to the Batman vs. Hush 2-pack. Then, next to Ghostmaker and the single version of Hush. And now, with Red Robin and the John Kent Superboy. Then, next to Grifter and the Arkham Knight. And here he is, next to the TV Flash and the comic Godspeed. Then, with the most recent Injustice 2 figures, Green Arrow and Reverse Flash. Here's Batman next to the Walmart exclusive all-gold Anti-Crisis Wonder Woman and the Walmart exclusive Wally West as Flash. And finally, next to the gold label variant of the Todd McFarlane designed Wonder Woman and the gold label variant of the proper mask, the Batman Catwoman. Now let's check them out, next to some other snow or cold weather themed Batman figures, or some Batman figures that would potentially work in that scenario. Here he is with possibly my favorite weather gear Batman. This is the Arctic Batman from Mattel's 2005 comic Batman line. Then, with a Mattel basic Batman vs. Superman, it's an Arctic Batman repainted from the Nightmare Batman. I always thought this Mattel Arkham City Batman, based off some promotional posters, would also work as sort of an anti-snow or anti-freeze Batman. And then we have this DC Direct New 52 cel-shaded Jim Lee Batman. He also fits the theme. Now let's check him out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how he fits in, both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane figure, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the large action figure lines I collect, and work my way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, with some more McFarlane Toys, these are from different various video game properties. And now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some DST, or Diamond Select toys. Then, with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles Batman figures. And here he is, next to some NECA Batman figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, next to some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here he is, with some Mezco 112 collective Batman figures. Then, with some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse Batman figures. And here, with some Mafex Batman figures. Then, next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts Batman figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. Overall, he's a pretty cool Batman figure, but he's not really necessary. He will be absolutely fantastic whenever McFarlane finally gets around to giving us a Mr. Freeze. He'll be a great anti-freeze Batman. His accessory is pretty cool. I welcome the Bat Bomb to my Batman arsenal. His articulation is kind of poor. I mean, it's all there, but you can't use a lot of it because it's jacket. The jacket itself, sculpt and paint job on this figure are excellent. No issues there. If I were to rate this figure, I'm going to give him a 6.5 out of 10. He looks good. I appreciate the fact that he's sort of a logical looking cold weather Batman, but the execution could have been a little better. Could have done something different with the jacket to allow him to move some of the articulation. And if you can't use it, then why even include it? So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it in the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.